Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of China Update, where we discuss leading political, economic, and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. I'm currently not where I normally film. I'm actually in Seoul, South Korea. This is being filmed in my hotel room, so please forgive the informality of the environment. There may also be some issues with the sound quality. Hopefully this is not too distracting. Now, there are several key stories we need to cover, so let's jump in. And first up, torrential rains and flooding across northern China have left dozens dead, with one of the deadliest incidents occurring at an elderly care facility just outside the capital. Authorities confirmed Thursday that 31 residents, officially at least, perished at an elderly care centre in Miyun district after floodwaters surged through the low-lying site, trapping residents inside. The centre, which housed 69 elderly people, 55 of them with disabilities, was inundated when the normally placid Qingshui River swelled to 1,500 times its usual flow following days of relentless downpours. Quote, "This showed that our contingency plan had flaws, and our understanding of extreme weather was inadequate," end quote, said Yu Weiguo, the Communist Party secretary for Miyun, calling the disaster a, quote, bitter lesson. In the past week, Beijing and surrounding provinces have been battered by historic rainfall. In Miyun alone, precipitation reached 573 millimeters, 22.6 inches, in just a few days, nearly matching the capital's annual average. Beijing's deputy mayor, Xia Linmao, said at least 44 people have died in the city, where hundreds of thousands have been affected. More than 24,000 homes, 242 bridges, and nearly 470 miles of road were severely damaged, with at least 31 people still missing across Beijing and the neighbouring Hebei province. The tragedy has sparked outrage and questions about preparedness, particularly for vulnerable populations. The care centre, built near a river in a zone not considered high risk, was not included in emergency evacuation plans. Survivors described harrowing escapes. One 87-year-old woman told her daughter she, quote, doesn't know where she got the strength, end quote, to climb onto a windowsill as the water rose. Her roommate drowned. Authorities have mobilized thousands of soldiers and emergency workers, with the central government allocating 550 million yuan, $76.7 million in relief funds. General Secretary Xi Jinping acknowledged the, quote, significant casualties and property damage, end quote, and urged officials to prioritize saving lives and restoring critical infrastructure. In neighboring Shanxi province, not to be confused with its more famous Shanxi province, the storms also claimed lives, with a minibus carrying farm workers was swept away, killing at least 10. With more rain forecast in the coming days, officials are racing to reinforce flood defenses and review evacuation protocols amid mounting concerns that China's aging infrastructure and emergency systems are struggling to cope with increasingly extreme weather. Next up, we move to the Chinese economy. China's manufacturing sector unexpectedly slipped deeper into contraction in July, signaling fresh headwinds for the world's second largest economy, despite a temporary easing of trade tensions with the United States. The official Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, fell to 49.3 from June's 49.7, the National Bureau of Statistics reported yesterday, missing forecasts and staying below the 50 mark, which separates expansion from contraction. The disappointing reading sparked a nearly 1% drop in the CSI 300 index, while government bond futures climbed as investors bet on additional policy support. The figures, the first snapshot of China's third quarter performance, highlight mounting risks as domestic demand remains weak and early signs emerge that export growth is losing steam. The National Bureau of Statistics attributed the decline to seasonal factors, extreme heat, and flooding in parts of the country, noting July is traditionally a low output period for factories. Non-manufacturing activity also softened, with the services and construction index slipping to 50.1 from 50.5. A separate private survey from S&P Global reinforced the downbeat picture. Its manufacturing PMI dropped to 49.5 from 50.4. The report highlighted falling output for only the second time since October 2023 and continued weakness in overseas demand, with new export orders contracting for the fourth consecutive month. Quote, demand from overseas remained subdued on the back of global trade uncertainty, end quote, said Jingyi Pan, economics associate director at S&P S&P Global. Despite a record trade surplus in the first half of the year, port data show cargo throughput slipped nearly 7% week on week to the lowest level in almost 3 months, suggesting export momentum is fading. Analysts warn that weak PMI underscores the need for stronger stimulus measures as consumer confidence languishes and deflationary pressures persist. Quote, the July PMIs point to a continued sluggish pace in the economy, end quote, US-based Bloomberg Economics noted, adding, quote, we expect momentum to weaken further in the second half, reinforcing the case for more government support, end quote. With both official and private gauges pointing to broad-based slowdown, Beijing faces growing pressure to shore up demand and stabilize growth as the global trade environment remains uncertain and domestic recovery struggles to gain traction. Now, if you're getting some value from today's episode of China Update coming to you from beautiful Seoul, South Korea, it's a huge help if you can like and share with someone who you think would also get that value. And if you're one of the 45% of regular viewers who is currently not subscribed, it's just one click of the mouse, but it's a huge help for the channel as well if you can subscribe, and you'll be on top of all the most up-to-date analysis on China as it's released. Thank you so much. And finally for today, China's National Health Commission, NHC, has convened a national emergency teleconference to address a rapidly worsening chikungunya fever outbreak in Guangdong province, in the south of the country, where cases have surged into the thousands. The meeting, held in Beijing on Tuesday, urged, quote, decisive measures, end quote, to curb the epidemic, ramp up mosquito control and strengthen early detention systems to safeguard public health and socio-economic stability, according to state media. Foshan, the city at the epicenter of the outbreak, has raised its public health emergency response to level 3, representing a, quote, relatively major, end quote, incident under China's 4-tier system. Local authorities said most patients exhibited mild symptoms, with 95% discharged within a week. However, the rapid spread has triggered concern from international health agencies. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed it is assessing the situation and weighing whether to issue a travel health notice for China. Chikungunya fever is a viral disease transmitted by infected mosquitoes. It causes sudden fever, severe joint pain, and other flu-like symptoms, often making it hard to distinguish from dengue and Zika. While deaths are rare and typically linked to pre-existing conditions, the debilitating joint pain can last for weeks or even months. There is no specific antiviral treatment, and prevention relies heavily on mosquito control and personal protection measures. The outbreak in Guangdong reportedly began with an imported case detected in Foshan's Shunde district on the 8th of July. Since mid-July, authorities have deployed aggressive containment efforts, including targeted disinfection of high-risk areas, drone surveillance for rooftop water accumulation, and the release of larva-eating fish in local lakes. Residents have been urged to eliminate standing water, install window screens, and wear long sleeves to reduce exposure to mosquitoes. The NHC called for enhanced regional coordination, multi-channel monitoring, and early warning systems to prevent both local spillovers and imported cases. The Hong Kong Centre for Health Protection has strengthened border controls and testing to guard against cross-border transmission. Chikungunya, first identified in Tanzania in 1952, has since spread to over 110 countries. China's last major outbreak occurred in Guangdong in 2010, with about 250 reported cases. The current surge is the largest the country has faced to date, underscoring the challenges of controlling mosquito-borne diseases in densely populated subtropical regions. Chinese officials emphasize that they are working closely with the WHO to contain the epidemic and ensure the safety of domestic and international travelers amid increasing global attention. We will see. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Have a good Friday, have a restful weekend, and I will see you for a new week of updates, back where I normally film on Monday.